Welcome to the Board of Zoning Appeals members, staff, and guests. We ask for your patience during this virtual meeting. Multiple staff members are behind the scenes to make sure all applicants and citizens are able to communicate with the board at the appropriate times.
Board members and applicants are participating via Zoom. Some are using video and all are using audio. I will unmute applicants or ask them to unmute themselves when their specific case is called. Everyone, please be aware of your audio and be mindful of anything in the background of your video to eliminate distractions. The public may participate in a number of ways. So they can watch via City TV, email, phone, or by logging into publicinput.com. To watch on City TV, you can go to youtube.com/user/ColumbiaSC Government. To submit letters and statements via email, you can do that to cocboardmeeting@columbiasc.gov, leading up to and during the meeting. The account will be monitored until such time the board goes into board discussion on that case. And those letters will be read into the record by staff. By phone, you can participate by calling 1-855-925-2801, and when prompted, enter the meeting code 7631. So, and those participating by phone, you'll want to hit *1 at first because that will allow you to listen. Or if you're not able to stay on the line, you can hit *2. That'll allow you to record a voice message. Just make sure if you record a message that you speak clearly. Leave your name and the case information, such as the address, so we know which case you're calling on. And if you would like to speak to the board during a specific case, please wait until that specific case is called. We're not able to tell which case people are in queue for, so it's better if you just wait till your case is called to hit the *3, so that we see your hand go up and we know you wish to speak on that case. You can also stream at publicinput.com/cocboza-December. And if participating by phone while also streaming the meeting, please make sure to mute the audio on your computer and only use the phone audio, or else we'll get some feedback issues. And there's also an audio delay between Zoom and the live recording on City TV and publicinput.com. So if you notice that we're pausing every once in a while, it's to let the audio catch up so that the public can get there and we can get the public input patched through to Zoom. I'll go ahead and do roll. Mr. Dinkins?
Here.
Mr. Primus?
Here.
Ms. Stevens?
Here.
Mr. Schaefer?
Here.
Mr. Gregory?
Here.
Ms. Finner?
Here.
Mr. Gignard?
Here.
All right, we have quorum.
Okay, applicants with requests before the Board of Zoning Appeals are allotted a presentation time of 10 minutes. This time should include, but is not limited to, an overview of the project, case history, and any pertinent meetings held regarding the request. This time also includes all persons presenting information on behalf of the applicant, such as attorneys, engineers, and architects. This time limit does not include any questions asked by the Board of Zoning Appeals or staff regarding requests. Any member of the general public may address the board in intervals of 3 minutes or 5 minutes if by a spokesperson for an established body or for a group of 3 or more. The applicant will then have 5 minutes for rebuttal. The board reserves the right to amend these procedures on a case-by-case basis.
The board uses the consent agenda to approve non-controversial or routine matters by a single motion and vote. If a member of the board or the general public wishes to discuss an item that's on the consent agenda, that item is removed and placed on regular. The board then approves the remaining consent agenda items. We will review the consent agenda. The first item is the approval of the November 5th, 2020 minutes. 1904 Academy Street. This is case 2020-0068, a special exception to permit a beauty shop. Case 2020-0069, a variance at 2918 Clark Street, a variance to the maximum lot coverage for an accessory storage building. Case 2020-0071, a special exception at 2139 Bull Street, a special exception to permit a beauty shop. Case 2020-0072 for 3215, 3217, 3201, and 3301 Two Notch Road. This is a special exception to permit an automotive repair service in the C3 district. Case 2020-0073 for 2411 Two Notch Road, a special exception to expand an existing residential care facility. Case 2020-0074 for 3814 North Main Street, a variance to the maximum sign height requirement. Case 2020-0077 for 919 True Street, Unit A4, special exception to permit a beauty shop. In case 2020-0078 for 4326 Clairton Street, a special exception to establish a general farm, primarily crops use, which would be a community garden. If anyone wishes to have a case removed from the consent agenda prior to the board vote, please let us know now, if any members of the board, and we'll give time for audio to catch up for any citizens to submit comments.
I have one question about the sign variance, the Christopher Hart's law firm sign variance. I mean, it's a very attractive sign, but I could imagine an unattractive, I mean, it's gorgeous. But is he restricted to using that type of sign, or if he decided he changed his mind and then he wanted to do something with flashing lights and everything, well, that might not be anything otherwise in compliance with the sign ordinance. Could he do that, or could a subsequent owner, or would they have to then come back?
Because he submitted specific plans with it, it does tie it down. It also is with the design district, so that would hinder what kind of signage could come back to. And the height variance would be specific to using the monument kind of stone that's there.
Okay.
It wouldn't be just a 6 foot anywhere.
Okay, great. Then fine.
Okay. Any other questions from the board before we ask Erica about public comment? All right. Erica, let us know if anyone's on the phone to discuss any consent agenda items, please. Erica or Andrew.
Rachel, can you hear me?
I couldn't hear you, Erica. That might have been you.
Okay, we have no callers, no comments, no emails.
Okay, I heard you that time. Thank you. All right, I do know that Mr. Schaefer has recused from item number 6, so we will need to do 2 separate votes on the consent agenda. So one vote could be just for item number 6, which Mr. Schaefer would recuse from that vote, and then you all could vote on the remaining consent agenda as a whole.
Sounds good. Let's start with item number 6. I'd like to ask for a motion on item number 6, please.
Move to approve subject to the staff recommendations.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay, motion passes. I'd like to ask for a motion for the remaining items of the consent agenda, please.
I make a motion that we approve, consider the remaining consent agenda items, subject to staff input and comment.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay.
Motion passes. All right, so if anyone was on here for the consent agenda, if your case was on the consent agenda, the board has voted on it, so you are welcome to log off of Zoom. So your case has been, it's good to go. So we will use the following outline for the regular agenda. Staff will introduce the case. Applicant will have 10 minutes to make a presentation. The board can ask questions during and after that presentation, and the public will be allowed to participate via email, voicemail, or phone comment. The applicant will then have 5 minutes for rebuttal prior to action by board. First matter on the regular agenda is case 2020-0070. The variance for 2701 Atlas Road. The variance to the maximum height requirement for a multifamily development. So if the applicant is on the line, they're welcome to discuss the case with us. They can unmute and discuss.
This is John Gant at Armada Development in Charleston. We're asking for this variance. We're wanting to build 240 affordable housing units on this piece of property, which is all basically at the corner of Bluff Road and Atlas Road, right behind a convenience store. It's all part of Bible Way Church. It was part of Bible Way Church land. These are plans that we have done in other areas in the state of South Carolina. But the variance that I'm asking for is just 3.5 feet. I want to make, if I have to go back, if I have to go down to the 40 feet, I can't get the pitch that I need to get the water off of the water off the roof fast enough. And it would also, I wouldn't be able to do 9-foot ceilings in the apartments. I'd have to go to 8-foot, which I really do not want to do. You know, we've like I said, we've built them. We built these projects. We built these units many times. We actually think that there's some houses next door to it, which I think aesthetically, the pitch of the roof on those houses compares favorably with the pitch that we want to put on our buildings. And you know, other than and everything that I got to change hurts me in trying to keep my rents down for the affordability side of it. So I really don't have anything else to ask. I'm just asking for a 3.5-foot variance that I don't think the naked eye would notice.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gant. In your application, are you familiar with the criteria that we're asked to judge this variance upon?
I'm not sure if I am or not, to be honest with you. I go through so many of these different things.
Understood. It should be in your application. What I would like to get you to do, just for the record, is to run through them briefly. You don't have to read it word for word, but if you could.
That's fine. Oh yeah, that's fine. Do you mean my answers on the application?
Yes, sir. If you could just run through those for the record for us.
Sure. So number three is actually my first question, and the applicant requests a variance to allow the use of the property in a manner shown on the attached site plan, which I attached, and you've got it on the screen right now. What we want to do is increase the existing 40-foot height restriction to 43.5 in order to have a 512 roof pitch. better complements existing residential community, so the community's architectural style, while also mitigating drainage concerns. That's number one. Number four, there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to the particular piece of property as follows. All right, well, the property will be developed as an affordable housing community serving the neighborhood around Bible Way Church. The 40-foot height restriction will cause design and construction cost increase that will increase rents to tenants, which I'm vehemently opposed. The conditions, how the conditions were created, that comes from existing zoning ordinance. These conditions do not generally apply to other properties in the vicinity as shown. Well, quite frankly, there's very little in that area. It backs up, it's next to, it's next some single family houses on one side. The other side, there's a Shell convenience store and commercial property going all the way down Bluff Road. I don't know which one I just answered. Oh, okay. And it's the only, it's to my knowledge, and we can't find anything else that's getting ready to go under construction in that area, and especially for affordable housing. These are the application of the ordinance to the particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property. Yeah, we want to make sure, see, we have to, in order to make these numbers work, we have to be able to build a 3-story walk-up type unit with pitched roofs to get that, to get that drainage off, get the water off our roof, off our buildings. So the 3 stories is necessary to protect the economics. A pitched roof is necessary for drainage and aesthetics. Then the authorization of the variance will not be of substantial detriment to the adjacent property or to the public good, and the character of the district will not be harmed. Well, that's basically what I said a couple questions back. The variance will create an enhancement of the project's aesthetics and match the neighboring single-family community, as well as provide proper roof drainage. And then I enclose, well, as you've got a picture of the property there. We also, you'll notice on the screen that you'll see I've got an easement off of Bluff Road also that gives us an extra entrance in and out of the property. It's in case of emergency vehicles. So a lot of thought. I've spent 2 years on trying to get this project done. And so we'd love to move forward.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Gant. I know some of the questions can be a bit redundant, but appreciate you running through them so we have those on the record. Do any members of the board have any questions for the applicant?
I have a question. So, Mr. Gant, just so that we're clear, I tend to like to make sure that the applicants coming before us for a variance exhausted all design avenues to try to fix the problem. So if I understand you correctly, if you reduce the slope of the roof below 5 to 12, you probably have to, what would the slope have to be in order to resolve the zoning height issue?
Here's what I'm trying to do, and I'm sure you're aware. Having a set of architectural plans done is a very expensive proposition. So we've taken these plans with this 512 that we have used in other areas around the state. The exterior is a little different than the ones that we've done in the other, but basically it's the exact same buildings. I don't want to go back and change that and run our costs back up. I will tell you though, that anywhere I drop this, then it's just going to slow down the water getting off of it. I even looked at trying to do a flat roof with a slight pitch to it. My architects and engineers said, please don't do that, or try not to do that. Try to stay away from that, because you need to get that water off of there as fast as possible.
Okay, I understand that. And the other question I would have is, wouldn't it be cheaper to just build units that had 8-foot ceiling heights?
Well, it would, but you know what? I think people would rather live in a 9-foot ceiling. Because it's affordable housing doesn't mean I need to build it cheaper for them.
No, I understand. I would agree with that. You were making the argument that economy was one of the driving factors, but
Yeah.
building a shorter building would be a lot cheaper.
I could
as
say,
well.
yes, not to interrupt you, I'm sorry. Yes,
Okay.
I could do 8-foot ceilings and I could do them a little bit cheaper, but I know how to do them as 9-foot ceilings, and I've done it successfully a number of times. And I don't want to be known as the new multifamily developer who's building 8-foot ceilings, to be honest with you. And I don't want the people that are going into our units should feel as good about going into that as going into any other market rate units in the market itself. That's my opinion.
Understood. Thank you.
Do any other members of the board have any questions? All right, well, hearing none, I'd like to see, do any members of the public have their hands raised, Rachel, or an email, or have any public input?
Okay, I'm muted. I haven't seen any emails come through, but we'll see if Erica or Andrew have any calls on the line.
Rachel, we have no callers, no comments, and no emails.
All right, thank you.
Hey, good. All right, well, at this point then, we'd like to move into board discussion. I'd like to start by asking, do any members of the board want to discuss anything regarding this?
I mean, it seems to make a lot of sense from what he's saying, and I'm happy that he's making the ceilings a little higher. I mean, I guess there's no real neighborhood around it. I mean, if there were, it'd be nice to have some input by what they think, but I think he may have a point that, and I'm not an architect or an engineer, but my guess is that you really could not tell, a normal person wouldn't be able to tell the difference in height from the street.
I agree with you. I mean, this is such a minor increase too, percentage-wise, less than 10%. You know, it seems like a really great project, what he's trying to do. And I think there's some value in the fact that they've built structures just like this before and keeping them the same as the others. So.
Well, and we want to encourage good drainage. I think that sounds like a very good thing too. And I'm only taking him at his word that that's true because I'm a lawyer, not an engineer. But I think I think that's a valid reason to do it. And I like the fact that he's going with 9-foot ceilings.
All right.
And just to put it on the record, we had received some phone calls on this case ahead of time, but none were for or against. They were just general questions. So that's what led me to put it on regular agenda, was I didn't know if it was going to feed to any public input during the meeting.
But that does indicate that the neighbors have been alerted to it, and they obviously didn't care enough about it one way or the other to give any input at this point. So that's very encouraging. Thank you.
Yeah, and I was just going to add, Gene, you know, I was thinking like RG2, the limit's 40 feet. I mean, I guess this is why these kind of things come before BOZA, to hear it out. And what, I mean, you wouldn't want to just raise the footage in the ordinance to not have to hear these out. So at least we get a chance to hear them out. But in this particular case, yeah, I don't see anything. I don't know. I don't see anything egregious here.
Okay,
Looks like a good design.
I agree. All right, well, if there's not anyone else on the board who would like to talk about this, I don't think we need any rebuttal from the applicant. I'd like to ask for a motion, please.
Yeah, Gene, I'll make a motion that the board approves this variance request subject to staff comments.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice project.
Thank you very much. We look forward to building it.
All right. The next case is item number 2020-0075 for 6420 Garners Ferry Road. It's a portion of that property. It's a special exception to establish a gasoline service station and a convenience store. This one, again, we're going to hear both matters together, but it will require 2 separate motions by the board. Don't let me forget that this time. So the applicant is present. They're welcome to begin their presentation.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hello again. My name is Drew English, and I'm here on behalf of Murphy Oil USA for their application for a special use exception. This property is in Zone C3, and it is a portion of the Cedar Terrace Shopping Center on Garners Ferry Road, and I'm sure everyone knows where that is. It's been there, gosh, at least since the 1950s. There's a Walgreens in there, and it used to be a Atlantic Bedding all the way back. It's been owned by the McAllister family for 60 years or so. Murphy, again, is excited about the Columbia market, as you all know. I have Tyler Brandt is here, and he's going to go through the application that's been filed, and he's the director of real estate. We also have Wayne Gibson, also with Murphy. He's the director of property management. And Florence Obrenica with Greenberg Farrow, the project engineer, is here as well. And so with that, I'd like to turn it over to Tyler.
Thank you, Drew. And Ms. Bailey, BOZA members, great to see you all again. Thank you for taking the time to hear our application. As Drew said, my name is Tyler Brandt, Director of Real Estate for the East Coast. You all have heard our spiel a little bit over the last couple months about who Murphy is and where we're located. We're based in Arkansas. We're growing in 5 states of the 25 that we operate in. One of those is South Carolina. So we're excited about this opportunity to redevelop a dated shopping center on the Garners Ferry corridor. So if there are any questions about Murphy and who we are, I will look to push that to the Q&A session as I like to focus on the project at hand. So based on location, we're in the southeast quadrant of Columbia, as Drew mentioned, within the Cedar Terrace Shopping Center. We are carving out roughly around 1 acre, where you see that red star there. It's at a traffic signal at the entrance to the USC School of Medicine, the Veterans Association, and the VA hospital. So our proposal here is we will demolish a small area of existing retail and redevelop with a 2,800 square foot convenience store with 8 fueling positions. Next slide, please. Looking at various trade areas, whoops, yep, there we go. Murphy determines trade areas based on certain characteristics and demand criteria. Within this section of Columbia in the Southeast market, there's roughly 3 trade areas, and I'm just illustrating this so you can see how we look at it as a retailer. So the subject trade area that we're talking about here is west of I-77, all the way up inclusive of the Target anchor development just to the northwest. So that is the area of demand that we're focusing on of capturing customers. Next slide, please. So for the special exception criteria, first off is the traffic. There's currently 46,000 cars per day on Garners Ferry Road per SCDOT's website. We will not have an adverse impact. Again, we are not creating traffic. Convenience stores feed off of the existing traffic. So whether we land there or not today, then 46,000 cars is still going to be there tomorrow. We will work with SCDOT to coordinate access points, and we've already been in touch with them. We'll be required to put in a median on Gardner's Ferry in front of the property, and then also in between Walgreens and the proposed Murphy development to prohibit left-hand turns, which will ultimately make this trade area safer. Environmental, as I've said in previous discussions with you all, our tanks and piping are double insulated and remotely monitored within the store and down in our office in Arkansas. We'll meet city code requirements for lighting and not spill over to adjacent properties. And also on the northwest property line, we're going to construct a 6-foot tall masonry privacy wall, and then also have a 15-foot wide landscaping buffer from that adjacent property. Aesthetic character, again, we'll meet any required design guidelines. And currently the retail strip building that is there is roughly around 4,300 square feet. We're going to reduce that by 1,500, which would ultimately be our 2,800 square foot C-store. Again, this is a redevelopment of a dated shopping center. So public safety, again, we have adequate lighting, security cameras on site. We have a no loitering policy. And then we also partner with the Columbia Police Department. As far as the same use, there are 2 existing convenience stores within the trade area. There's a Circle K and a Shell. But based on the amount of traffic that's currently there, the trade area is underserved for fuel. Our proposed redevelopment is an enhancement, not a detriment, compared to the existing shopping center that is probably due for a little bit of a redevelopment. And again, we are a complementary use to existing retailers within this transportation corridor. The intent of the area, Gardner's Ferry Road serves as a corridor for traffic going to and from downtown to I-77, suburban communities. I'm sure you all have driven this road a number of times. And this redevelopment will be consistent with existing developments within the trade area. Furthermore, the shopping center just to the southeast, where Big Lots and Wells Fargo and Krispy Kreme is, just underwent a bit of a facelift. So you can see that there's development occurring within this trade area. Our special exception is appropriate. Again, heavily traveled corridor in a C3 zone for which our use is permissible with a special use permit. And then finally, we will not adversely affect the public. The nature of this convenience store and retail fueling station is provide convenience to our consumers in a high trafficked area, and is our will to welcome the public to a new, clean, safe, and convenient establishment. Next slide, please. Here's our good neighbor plan. We'll have a loitering control, as I mentioned on the previous slide. Again, our associates are trained with that. And not to mention, this is really not a loitering area. So we don't foresee that being an issue. But again, we have our associates trained in that capacity. Litter control, we'll have 2 receptacles on the development and then 1 at each pumping fueling station. And then our staff will pick up trash on a daily basis. We agree to adhere to any signage requirements, both permanent and temporary. And then crime prevention with our security cameras. Again, we will be monitoring the site from inside the store and our home office in Arkansas. And communication program, again, we will furnish names and contact info for the manager, the division manager, so that the community has a way to reach out to the store. So as I'm sure you've driven by this site a number of times, here is a picture of what it looks like today. It's a sea of asphalt. It's been there for a while. It's dated. And we are looking to carve out where you see just on the other side of that multi-tenant sign, you can see the retail strip building just to the rear that will be demolished. And then if you can move to the next slide, you can see what we're proposing. So we're ripping up a sea of asphalt, enhancing the development, and then also adding landscaping, which does not exist there today. So we think this will be a great addition to the trade area. It certainly would be an enhancement, not a detriment to the development. In summary, Murphy is a responsible operator. We're corporately owned, operated. We're not franchisee. So again, you get the corporate initiative and values of a company like us serving the customers of Columbia. So we thank you for listening and hearing our application tonight, and I'll pass it back off to Drew.
Thank you, Tyler. And just very briefly, ladies and gentlemen, a bit of a personal aside, I've lived in this area within a couple of miles of this very site for 20 years, and I've seen a lot of the redevelopment. A lot of it's been positive, and I think what Tyler and Murphy are proposing is going to continue that trend. And Mr. Jay McAllister, who's one of the owners of the shopping center, is in support of this. He wrote a letter. He operated the Cedar Terrace hardware store, which is kind of an institution for longer than I can remember, and I was personally sorry to see it close. But that family has been very deliberate in any kind of redevelopment. So I think the fact that they're willing to partner with Murphy is a big deal, and I think a lot of deference, respectfully, a lot of deference should be given to the McAllister family for the decisions that they've made, and we believe that this is going to be an enhancement to the neighborhood. It's coming to an underserved area for gas. It's going to be a nice, bright, clean development. And we'd love to hear any questions or feedback that you guys might have and answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Drew. Thank you, Tyler. Very thorough, professional presentation as always. Very good. Answered our questions. So I don't have any. Do any other members of the board have any questions?
Of course I do. I see that you have letters that we have letters. You have a letter, I believe, from Meadowfield in the packet approving the support letter of support from the Meadowfield neighborhood. Is that not correct? And I think there's been a letter of opposition from Cedar Terrace neighborhood insofar as you're going to be selling alcohol, which I guess is not exactly what's on now. What about the other neighborhoods in the area? Did you reach out to them? I was expecting you guys to work the magic that you did on the previous one that we saw last month.
So yes, we did reach out to a couple neighborhoods. Florence Brenica is also on the call. She spearheaded that initiative. I'd like to ask her to be able to speak a little bit to that on who we reached out to and who we heard back from.
Okay.
Florence, are you there?
Yes, I am. I apologize. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I can.
I'm not sure if it was included in the agenda, but we had sent Rachel Bailey the letter of support from the property owner.
Yes, that was emailed out to the board yesterday.
So I don't think that was included in the original packet.
Yeah, I read it. I don't know whether I got it, but I've read it, and yeah, that's nice. Of course, he supports it. He's selling to you guys, or he's leasing to you or selling to you, whatever. But my concern is about some of the surrounding neighborhoods. I'm wondering what outreach you did to them, and what we only have, I believe, 2 letters. Is that correct, Rachel? Yeah, I don't have. They have one.
I see the letters from Murphy to the neighborhood, just part of the Good Neighbor Plan. I'm not sure what letters.
Well, we haven't.
I don't think we got any
support from Meadowfield. Thought there was a letter of support from Meadowfield, and we have the letter of opposition from Cedar Terrace. Am I correct on that? I can't shuffle documents because my screen is all Zoom now. Did I make that up?
Maybe missing it. I don't remember a letter of opposition for this location. I remember the later one on the agenda.
No, there's the letters from Murphy to those neighborhoods.
Right.
I thought there was a letter from Lyman.
Letter of opposition on this one.
Lyman Munson and the president of Cedar Terrace neighborhood, and we had this back and forth, I believe.
That was the next one.
That's the next one?
Monticello Road.
I'm sorry. I'm terribly sorry about that. So, but we do have a letter of support from Meadowfield. Did I make that
There's
up?
a letter to Meadowfield. So Meadowfield was contacted. They did
Okay.
not contact us back.
Okay.
Or did not contact Murphy back.
And let me chime in quickly here. And, understand your question, Catherine, but this is the opportunity today for the neighbors, the adjacent property owners to call in and email in. So let's see if we have any before we get too deep into a discussion
Sure.
with the applicants on that, because this is the opportunity to do that. So let's try to ask the applicants questions specifically regarding their development if we have any.
Well, I have a question that is about adjacency, and it's not really clear to me. It is so the edge of your proposed development that is going to have the 6-foot high masonry block wall, that is adjacent to what type of property? What's on the other side of that wall?
This
Drew,
is Florence again. Unless Drew, you want to take this one?
Yeah, I can take it. Yeah, Mr. Schaefer, on the going west, there's a brick house. I guess it's a residence. Just on the other side, that I'm not sure if it's inhabited or not. It's kind of isolated amongst the other commercial development.
Okay, so it's a house, but we don't know whether somebody.
It appears to be a house, but somehow there are some houses in that area that have been converted to small businesses. I drive by there all the time, and I don't think I've ever seen a vehicle in the driveway, or and I've kind of paid attention a little bit since it started, and I haven't seen anything. So,
but as the most impacted adjacent property owner, y'all didn't reach out to that individual or find out?
I did not speak to her.
Okay.
No,
Well, yeah.
nor did I. But
Because I mean, I actually think what you're proposing is quite good, but the question I would have, it looks like you're demolishing an existing building that has a rear adjacency to a residential house, and you're coming in there and putting a wall, your underground tanks, and a dumpster enclosure. So, I mean, the fact that you're putting sort of like a dumpster enclosure and there's going to be noisy trucks there unloading stuff, it does have an impact on an adjacent property owner, particularly if it's a residential property. I guess one of my questions was is this in your mind the most sensitive layout for the property relative to the fact that somebody may be living adjacent to this property?
Well, Tyler can certainly speak to the layout. I think there's another layer of approvals that would deal specifically with that. But right now, what you have along that property line is that aging strip center that's hard up against, and the plan will call for a 6-foot privacy wall and then a 15-foot landscape screening that will be greenery there as additional buffer. And you're not going to have the monolithic building that's literally right beside there. There's going to be space between the Murphy improvements and that landscape buffer and that wall and that adjacent building. So I think yes. So I think overall it's certainly going to be an aesthetic improvement.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback off that, Mr. Schaefer. We looked at probably 7 to 10 different renderings or layout options here, and ultimately this is the one that we landed on that was the best. Okay. We considered rotating 90 degrees, putting our canopy perpendicular to Garner's Ferry, but that didn't solve. I mean, that just puts our building back where the existing building is. And then you couple that with, if you can go back to the site plan real quick, whoever's in control of the mouse there. I think it's up in the application. Go a couple more pages, please.
Yeah, it's not on here.
It showed up on one of the screens. Okay, well, all right, so go back to slide 83, please. So I can explain it from here. So if you're looking at, there's currently, so you have the signalized intersection here, right, where there's full movement. And then if you continue following that gray truck on Garner's Ferry going northwest, there's an access point there. It's currently full movement. Retaining that access point is very critical to us. because it's a convenient right movement into the site. So we reached out to SCDOT and worked through what those requirements would look like up front, and that's incorporated into our site plan. And that's where we're going to install a median on Garner's Ferry there that prevent left-hand turns, because you could come out of that access point and hang a left and go southeast on Garner's Ferry, which is a very dangerous left-hand turn in my opinion. But yeah, so this layout was the best option for us, and I think it benefits the adjacent neighbor by removing a building off of that that property line.
Yeah, I think I'm agreeing with you, and I understand your constraints. I'm looking at your site plan that was in the package, which is really clear in terms of how you guys are planning this. I'm just suggesting that there's a sort of like a noise trade-off to what you're proposing, and that's not to say that I think that it's that I would call it excessive or extraordinarily unreasonable. I just wanted to ask the question.
Sure, understood.
Thank you. That's clear.
Okay. Do any other members of the board have any questions for the applicants? All right, I don't hear any. Rachel, could we please check and see about public input?
Sure. I don't think any new letters have come in. The only letter received was the one from Mr. McAllister that was sent to you, but we'll see if any new calls have come in. When the audio catches up, Erica can let us know.
Rachel, I just received one email and we have one caller.
Okay, I can't hear you very well. You have one email and one caller?
One email and one caller.
Okay. Can you let us know?
I'll read the email.
The
email is from a Cindy Jones. She just states that she opposes the development as the businesses in that location provide a service to the nearby community. And that was from Cindy Jones.
Okay.
And I do have one caller with a hand raised. I'll let them speak now.
Okay.
Hello, can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Hey, this is Ty Gwatz. I'm president of the Brandon Acres Cedar Terrace neighborhood. I appreciate being able to talk with y'all in a very different manner than I have previously, years past. But I did want to formally state objections to this development on behalf of myself personally and as president of the Brandon Acres Cedar Terrace neighborhood. The reasons why myself and many other neighbors are opposed to this plan varies on a number of different issues and different points. But the first and primary thing that we want to state our objection to this on is based on a level of safety. While we agree that this development will not add any new traffic onto Garner's Ferry Road, we believe that this development will create more potential traffic accidents that will occur because of the behavior and activities that will be coming in and out of this development. And when I say that, I don't mean that in an inappropriate behavior manner. I'm just talking about cars turning out of that development in a time and manner that most people in this community aren't used to. Where we have problems with this, it basically comes down to the fact is that Cedar Terrace itself is already a dangerous intersection, just like True Street is less than a block away or less than 2 blocks away. Both of those intersections at Garner's Ferry and True, and Garner's Ferry and Cedar Terrace have had the dreaded green/yellow signs indicating from DOT indicating that there has been a high number of incidences and accidents at those intersections. We believe that as there is more cars and vehicles leaving that Cedar Terrace Shopping Center, especially on that right-hand turn lane, that problem is only going to get worse, in addition to the number of cars and traffic that will be turning into it as well. Also, we also have objections to the median being closed in Garners Ferry as well, on Garners Ferry Road as well too in front of this, because if you live on Cedar Terrace and you turn and you go to the intersection of Cedar Terrace and Garners Ferry Road and you want to take a left like you're going to Interstate 77 so that you can, catch up to I-26, that left-hand turn lane or that left-hand turn off of Cedar Terrace onto Garners Ferry is already dangerous. We believe that this development is only going to make that even more dangerous. And in addition, we very much object to any sort of barriers that prevent cars from splitting that left-hand turn into two parts. Here we are basically forcing cars to only be able to make a one and done kind of turn, whereas before they could always, get out into the median once the northbound, let me get my directions right, once the westbound traffic is clear, and then work its way into the eastbound traffic. So we would definitely be opposed to the entrances and exits that they are talking about. We do not see a need actually for that. We would actually prefer that western exit be completely, entrance and exit be completely taken out if that's possible. The other thing we have a problem with this development is what we are basically doing here, if this development is approved, both at the Boza level and further on, is we are basically creating a proliferation of gas stations / convenience stores. If this is approved, within a 4-block period, you're going to have 3 different convenience stores / gas stations. We believe that that's too much. We also believe that the natural competition of the free market is going to create one or more empty components as well too, meaning that not everybody's going to be able to compete. We agree that there's probably not enough gas stations on that side, but we also have a greater fear that we're going to end up with a vacant property or vacant building because the competition, because of the high traffic volume, does not make that 4-block area as competitive of a area for 3 duplicates of businesses. And then our last objection to this development is the changes that it would create even more, and it would create potential future problems for the neighborhood, because what we're basically talking about is a large part of Cedar Terrace Shopping Center is going to be torn down. An even greater portion will still exist. And we do know that this shopping center has been in need of an upgrade for some time. But we believe, and I particularly believe, that when you have that gas station of Murphy Oil, then you have the Walgreens, which used to be like about 8 different pharmacies before. Then when you have the gas station right there, the Shell station on the other side, on the eastern side of that, of the Sonic, which is next to the Walgreens. Basically, we believe that Cedar Terrace Shopping Center is not going to attract any new businesses. With recent developments, a large number of parking spaces in there have been designated for parking for veterans, for USC School of Medicine, the VA hospital, and the Veterans Administration Center. And so we can actually see a number of different things that could possibly happen with that. And we believe that this could create even more problems for us as a neighborhood and as a community moving forward. So I know I went over my time. I appreciate your patience and listening to me with these issues. And certainly I'll entertain any questions or comments you may have, but I appreciate you taking the time to listen to us and listening to our concerns about this issue. And for the record, I'll spell it. My first name is Tige, T-I-G-E. Last name is Watts, W-A-T-T-S. I currently reside at 1314 Cedar Terrace, and I've been the neighborhood president of this community since 2003. Thank you again.
Thank you. Is there any other public input at this time? Rachel,
I think we had another caller.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Lucinda Jones, and I seen the sign up where they were putting a gas station in a Cedar Terrace shopping center, and this is what my concern would be. My concern is the extra added traffic, but also the businesses inside of Cedar Terrace that the community loses with a gas station development, which is, the substation, the laundromat, the dentist. Those are within walking distance of some of the community. So I think that those services are more important than an additional gas station when there's 2 gas stations already there. So that would be my concern that I just wanted to voice to the board today. I just think that, with this development in that community, I think with the VA the street and the School of Medicine, I know with COVID, traffic is not as bad as it normally is. I know that they have some parking spaces in Cedar Terrace to help with the overflow, but I just think that the services that would be lost to those surrounding communities would be detrimental to them, especially when they, if you can walk to the dentist, you can walk to pick up substation 2, the laundromat services back there. So that's just what I wanted to say today. That I just think that with the other 2 gas stations, the Shell and the Circle K, that this development would just, not be great for that community at this time. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank y'all so much. Y'all have a great day.
You too.
Rachel, can I ask a question about that?
Sure.
And maybe this is for Murphy too, but this development would not be getting rid of the substation or the dentistry, correct?
Yes, that's correct. The substation is a separate building that would not be demolished.
All right, that's what I was thinking. Thank you.
So,
do we have any other callers, Erica?
At this time, that's all the comments we have, no callers.
All right, thank you.
And also, if I may, the second caller mentioned the dental office. There's a building on the, correct me if I'm wrong, Tyler, but the building on the east side of the shopping center, which, and I think that's where the dental office is. There's also a dance studio in there. That's thing. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Yeah. There is a dental office, or there has been a dental office in Cedar Terrace, but it's not in the building that's going to be demolished is about 4,100 feet. There's a check cashing place there. There's a liquor store there, and there's a convenience store there.
thank you, Drew. Tyler, do you or Drew wish to have any further rebuttal to any of the callers, or I guess either of the callers' comments, any input?
Sure. This is Tyler. I'll address a couple items here. So, Mr. Watts and his concerns around the safety and traffic, I actually think that what we're proposing here is going to be an enhancement to the safety. The median is going to be required by SCDOT. So there's a median in Gardner's Ferry, and it will not extend all the way up to the point where Cedar Terrace is, where Cedar Terrace intersects Gardner's Ferry. So it will stop short. So those residents can still make a left-hand turn out. Even if we didn't develop this project, if we're denied tonight, right, then that left-hand turn still remains there. And that risk is always going to be there. Perhaps SCDOT would consider extending it. I'm not sure. That'd be a discussion with them. And then also too, if you're looking at the site plan, the Walgreens and the shared drive in between Murphy and the Walgreens, there's a proposed small median there as well. And SCDOT required that to prevent cars coming out of that first access point from Walgreens and hanging a quick left to get into the queuing line at the signal. So again, another safety mechanism. It doesn't mean they can't go left to get in the queuing system. They just have to go to that access point a little farther away from the traffic light. And then regarding the proliferation, going from 2 to 3 is not a proliferation. Again, this development is not a detriment to the trade area. 46,000 cars a day, 2 competitors within the market. There's just not enough pumps to meet the demand that's currently there. So in our opinion, and in my role at Murphy doing site selection, I see a lot of this in different trade areas in different cities around the country. And I can adamantly say that this area is underserved for fuel. Drew, do you have anything?
I would just add, technically, your convenience, Tyler, Murphy's convenience use is going to replace the existing use. There is a convenience store in the building that's going to be demolished for this. So you're not adding another convenience store. And there was Mr. Watts also raised the concern about what would this do to the rest of Cedar Terrace? Well, this, in my view, in my other life, I'm a transactional lawyer and a real estate transactional lawyer, and I think this it's a no-brainer. I mean, this is going to increase the value of the Cedar Terrace Shopping Center, and it's actually going to make good tenants and good users want to come here. Because what they want to see is a synergy and momentum, and that's what this is going to happen. Just like at Landmark, a couple blocks down when it was redeveloped, that was the old Roses. And now it's got Ross Dress for Less and Big Lights and Krispy Kreme, and they did a good job with that. And Cedar Terrace has that same potential. It's a 12-acre parcel, and it's the last good sized parcel like that close into town. And so I think this, for Murphy to view this as a valuable and dynamic area, I think speaks very well of the potential of the whole area.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, well, at this time, I think we'll move into board discussion. I think we've heard the case and we've heard some objections to it. I'll start briefly by saying that I would agree with the applicants here. My office is very close to this site, and just like probably all of our board members, I've driven by this site many, many times, and I've wondered for years when something good, attractive, upgrade was going to happen to this center. And I think that I agree with the applicants that granting this special exception to permit this store would be the catalyst to possibly redevelop this center into a good, attractive upgrade center. I think they've got a good plan. I think they've proved they're very good organization and operation, and I'm in favor of it. I would just like to close by reminding the board a lot of times these specific criteria for the special exceptions, they sort of overlap into different issues on the site, and we discuss the site, but I just would like to remind the board that this is not a site plan review, and it's really not what we're asked to do here today. Again, I understand how it's relevant at times, so that's why we discuss it. But when we end up voting on this thing, we need to vote on the specific criteria and not the orientation of the site. So that would be my thought. I'd like to hear from the other members of the board, please.
Gene, I'll speak briefly. I know the traffic sounds like it's a big concern, and Garner's Ferry has some very dangerous access at this time. But it sounds like it's been reviewed by DOT, and their intent was to allow it to proceed in a safe manner, and that's why the medians were required in the way they are. So I think from a traffic safety standpoint, it sounds like that's kind of been addressed already from SCDOT. So that doesn't concern me as much. It sounds like an upgrade.
Well, I had raised the questions about the neighbors, and I thought I'd seen Ty Watts' name in the thing. Maybe it was because things had been sent out to him. It sounds like the second caller was a little confused about, and I can understand it's difficult to read site plans and that, but the businesses she is concerned about are not going to be demolished. And that I'm very pleased, I think, that the businesses that are being demolished seem like it's probably a good thing that they're going. But I think I was more concerned about Ty Watts because he certainly, he knows his stuff. I mean, he was the president of the Council of Neighborhoods for ever, years and years and years and years and years. But I think that I agree that DOT issues don't seem to be relevant here. And that he raises the question about, well, there's all this proliferation of gas stations and as you say, from 2 to 3 isn't a proliferation. So it doesn't seem to me that the impact is going to be nearly as dire as the two objectors from the community seem to think it was. So I'm inclined to say I think it's going to be a real improvement. And I do agree with Mr. English that I think that this is actually possibly going to get some vehicles back in to the Cedar Terrace Shopping Center. You know, it's a potential lead in to those back properties that now are hidden behind the check cashing place and liquor store. So,
absolutely. Okay, any other members of the board wish to bring anything up? All right, I don't hear anything. So we need 2 motions here. First one, let's take a motion. I guess I'd like to ask for a motion for the gasoline service station portion of the application.
Yeah, Gene, I'll make a motion that the board approves the special exception to permit a gasoline service station at this location, subject to staff comments.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, so the first motion passes. Second motion, let's get a motion for the convenience store portion of the project, please.
Yeah, I will make a motion to approve the special exception to permit a convenience store subject to the good neighbor plan and staff comments.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, motion passes. Very good.
All right, and just bear with me for 1 sec. I had stopped sharing to pull up the site plan just because that was in the packet but didn't make it into the slideshow. So I will bring up the original slideshow.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Boza Board.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next case is case 2020-0076 for 4101, 4103, and 4105 Monticello Road. This is a special exception for a convenience store. I believe the applicant and his agents are on Zoom. They're welcome to unmute themselves and begin their presentation.
Good afternoon. This is Attorney Ernest Cromartie. I'm here with co-counsel Robert Fuller. I'm going to wait for Attorney Fuller. I know he was going to unmute and click his video. As we start, I want to say thank you for your service. I recall sitting in that same place some years ago, and so I can appreciate task that you have before you and the things that you guys are doing, and just want to say thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. Is Attorney Fuller on?
Can you hear me, Rachel?
I can hear you.
Excellent.
Thank you very much. I've been associated in representation of the applicant, Community Mart, Krunal Palmar. The filed application specifically and fully addresses the criteria for special exceptions, and I'll get into those individually and piece by piece in a minute. Community Mart has been the operator of the on-site convenience store at this location for approximately 2 years. Special exception request is being pursued in order to elevate the service and enhance the shopping experience available to the neighborhood and all its customers. Revitalization of the business site requires a transformation and modernization of the existing physical facilities. The applicant here was not previously involved in operation of this business location, therefore should not be prejudged or penalized for perceived operational missteps on the property's use. Presumed concerns related to beer or wine sales based on antecedent history cannot be fairly ascribed to this applicant. The property is not licensed or permitted for the sale of alcohol products, without regard to the board's decision on the special exception today. No present or future decision related to such matters would be within BOZA jurisdiction and should not be deemed relevant to today's consideration. The property at issue is a large lot at a prominent location with the possibility of positive economic impact for not only the owner, but for the whole community. The proposed intended improvements to the property are necessary to achieve that potential. The special exception is the first essential step in that objective. Community Mart has met every requirement criterion to warrant favorable action on this application. Every aspect of the city's good neighbor plan has been actively embraced by the applicant to further assure responsible business conduct on and in association with the premises. Based on speculation and prior conditions with which this applicant was not involved, some neighbors have expressed concerns. However, there's ample written support in the record of enthusiasm for Community Mart's commitment to participating in and expanding the resurgence of this neighborhood. Some 30 plus individual letters of support and a support petition of some 200 plus signatures. The record on the special exception runs the criteria to describe what is being requested here, and it is the reorientation and redevelopment of an existing convenience store lot. It is a large lot that proposes to replace a 1,955 square foot building with a new about 3,360 square foot building for the operation of the convenience facilities. There are no fuel pumps projected for this operation on this site. Under the criteria litany, I would suggest to you, number one, the proposed convenience store will not have any adverse impact on traffic. It is a large site with multiple points of ingress and egress, which will be consolidated to achieve a safer and more functional site. Plus the addition of sidewalks at the location will enhance the safety and ability of patron access and ingress. Lights and all other facilities on the property will be contained on site by specific design. This is an architecturally designed site for the improvements, so they are not going to be continuations of simply willy-nilly placement with no particular plan or direction. There is no significant noise related to the use of a convenience site, and none will be present on this particular property. On the third aspect, this will be a vast improvement of the site appearance in this North Main corridor, which is experiencing positive reinforcement and growth at the present time. The design building has been, or the design of the building has been done by professional architects so that it will be accommodated on the site and will accommodate the uses provided for the convenience operation in the larger size and on this lot. But it is certainly a large lot that will be provided with ample parking. The orientation of the improvements and the landscaping will be a vast improvement consistent with what is being developed in the North Corridor. This is a convenient store site that will directly have impact on the neighborhood as a positive reinforcement. The Good Neighbor Plan has been significantly embraced by the operator of this site, and the conditions on the existing use will be under better conditions and under far better control than the wide open site that is presently on the corner. Under the fifth criteria, this is not going to be an increase in the placement of convenience facilities. It's not a contributor to proliferation. It's simply a modification of an existing convenience store use that will better serve the community. The sixth criteria is of the underlying district. Well, this is a multiple use district that has been used, and this lot has been used as a convenience store for many years. It's not really a use change. It's an enhancement of the use, the same use on the property under better conditions, more safe conditions, more user-friendly conditions, and as a complement to the neighborhood. It is a convenience store that will be located on a major road with high traffic counts. That addresses the seventh of the criteria components for the special.
I lost them.
But it is not the introduction of a different or multiple use of the same character. And the eighth criteria is important in the consideration for this particular site, we think. The demolition of the existing convenience store and the replacement with a new, more aesthetically pleasing convenience store has no possibility of adversely impacting the public interest. It is 100% an upgrade of the site with no adverse public interest consideration. It is the same use, the same operator, but in better facilities for accommodation and for handling of the business at that site. In conclusion of my initial remarks, Mr. Chairman and members, I would suggest to you that the only objections we have heard out of many of the objections that come is really about a matter that is not before you today, and that is the sale of alcoholic beverages on this site. It is not permitted for that. Whatever you do.
Lost him again.
And it's not within the purview of the Board of Zoning Appeals. So we suggest to you that in looking at what the site is and what it presumes to continue to be is virtually a no-brainer, met in every aspect with replacing a dated and worn facility with a modern accommodation that has every prospect of joining in the positive march for this area of the North Columbia neighborhoods. Mr. Cromartie has other matters that he would be able to discuss with you, and Mr. Palmer is available if there are questions that need to be addressed to the actual operations on the property. But we suggest to you and hope that you will agree that this business property should be approved as a positive effect on the public interest at this location and approve it for that purpose. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fuller. Mr. Cromartie?
Yes, Mr. Chair, Board of Zoning Appeals, if you would indulge me, there are, and I don't know if this is the appropriate time, but there are a room full of individuals in my waiting room who are here during their prime work or family time here in support of this applicant and this application. They live in or around the store. They use the store. They are the community in the title of the applicant store, which is Community Mart. I don't know that we are at that point, but I would ask that since they have been waiting for a while, that I be able to go out to my waiting room, show you the volume of folks who thought it important enough to be here, and then have them come in one by one, just to tell you why the improvements being requested are important to them.
Well, absolutely. And Ernest, we know you know the rules of this board well, so we certainly know you know how to participate in these meetings. So absolutely, they will have their chance for their input. We appreciate them coming and appreciate your comments. So absolutely, and you're right, this isn't exactly the right time, but we will certainly give you every opportunity to bring them before us. So does that conclude the presentation?
I think at this time it would, yes, sir.
Okay, fantastic. All right, well, another very good presentation. Do any members of the board have any questions for the applicants?
I have a quick question about the renderings that were provided with your application. Can you talk a little bit about how we're supposed to understand those? Meaning how close they are to what you're proposing for the site?
Based upon my conversations with the applicant, who's also present, the renderings do reflect in great sense what is proposed. All of the landscaping, all of the improvements, everything that has been submitted is anticipated to be provided. All of the enhanced lighting, the multiple security cameras, the signage compliant with city ordinance, all of that is what you can expect to see. To speak more directly to the renderings, when you look at the petition, the 200 plus names, these renderings were provided to those who frequent the store and who live in or around that area. So this is also what is expected to be brought forth by the community and those who frequent the store. So this is it. I mean, there may be a change in a blade of grass somewhere, but outside of that, I don't expect much difference.
Okay, and I'm just asking because the rendering that you provided of the exterior of the building has a great deal of storefront and glass wrapping around sort of the Monticello Road side and all the way around to the parking side. And then you provided an interior rendering of something that looks like a very traditional convenience store with a lot of cold storage along walls and it would be a lot more of a solid building. So I'm just curious about where the interior rendering actually occurs, because we can't really see that in the exterior rendering.
I would say that the glass portion reflects the restaurant area that has been proposed.
Okay.
So they'll be providing your hot food and beverages. And then the other internal part is just to kind of show you your plain vanilla bread and butter convenience aspect.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Oh, and George, I can say too that I mean, not the whole site plan as a whole, but the design, the exterior design, it did go to DDRC already. So
Excellent.
it would be locked into anything that went to them.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do we have any other questions for the applicants? All right, that's been a thorough presentation. Well, I think we'll move into the public input portion. And Ernest, let's let you go first because you do have a waiting room full. So before we go into the callers, let's let you do your thing.
All right, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna become mobile for a minute. Just bear with me, and I'll do that. I'll be right back.
All right, thank you.
Am I talking? Can everyone see me?
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna pan and allow you to see my room, and then I'll bring everybody back. So this is my waiting area. And here are all the individuals that are here, socially distanced, present to speak on behalf of the applicant. I'm gonna bring them back one-on-one right now. Thank you. Go ahead, sit right there. Go ahead. Yeah. If you would, state your name and your address.
Hi, my name is Monique Frazier. I live at 401 Rich Creek Road, Columbia, South Carolina, 29203.
And can you tell us your thoughts about the community mart?
Well, my thoughts on the community mart, it will be a better improvement for the neighborhood. Plus, with the people that's running it, it will be a lot better than what it has been because he don't allow people to stand around there and just like they've been doing, which I like that. I can go there at nighttime myself and get stuff. So it would be better for the environment right now because we need an actual change, and that would bring a big change to that community. And plus, it will help out with some extra jobs around there for a couple of people. It would do a lot to that community. Besides just a better outlook of everything that's going on right now. That would change a lot for a lot of people. I mean, we don't have a grocery store there. That would bring stuff, people within walking distance, people can just go there and get stuff. It'll be so much different with the people that's got it and running now than the previous people that had it. Because a lot of stuff was going on that's not going there no more. You got older people go to that store that can walk there. Kids go to that store. It's just a lot that can be done with a bigger store for everybody for right now. Because we have to go so far away to buy grocery that don't make sense when he's trying to do something positive for that community, which most people don't really care about.
You have any other comments, ma'am?
No, sir.
Thank you. Would you ask the next person to come in?
I sure will. Yeah, have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the current owner is the previous owner of the convenience store sold it to the current developer of this new project, who is currently operating the old convenience store on the site.
That is correct. And just to be transparent, the current property owner is in the process of conveying the property, and it will be complete within the next 10 days to by the end of the month in terms of the transfer of property. So the current operator has been operating it for 2 years. They're purchasing it from the current landowner, and we're looking at about a 30-day, total completion of conveyance. Ma'am, if you would, please state your name and give your address for the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Yes, my name is Khadijah Nelson, and I live at 401 Rich Creek Road. And I think it's time for us to have a new store for the community. It'll make the community a better place. Right now, we don't have a grocery store, and right now we kind of like depend on this one store because it's closer, because it's in walking distance, and I feel the community deserve to have a new store. Thank you.
Are there any questions of the board of this person in favor of the application?
No, thank you for coming.
Thank you, ma'am. If you would send the next person in. Thank you for your participation.
You're welcome. Thank you.
If you would, just look into the camera right in front of you.
Oh.
State your name and your address and go ahead and give your comment on the new store.
Okay. Hello, my name is Haile James. I live at 525 Johnson Avenue in Columbia, South Carolina. I've lived there for 14 years. I've been going to the A1 store since I first moved there. It's very convenient. It's in walking distance. I live about a half mile from that store, and it's one of my stop-in places when I walk the neighborhood, which I do for exercise. This store is very important in our neighborhood, especially now that the Buy Low supermarket has been closed. There is nowhere for people to go in and get groceries and things like that. And an expansion would be an excellent addition to the neighborhood. And it would, I think personally, that it would help with the growth of the neighborhood. Me, myself personally, when I used to work at the Plasma Center downtown, when I would get off work in the evenings as it gets dark earlier, when I would get off of the bus and I would see the A1 sign, I knew that I would be lit and I would be safe for a certain amount of my walk home from the bus stop. The people who work there have always been very nice people, and they're trying to do something good for the neighborhood. I know that is something that it would actually add to the neighborhood. It would add security for a corner that is very dark. It would add jobs, and it would bring more foot traffic. And I think it would encourage other businesses to come into the neighborhood and into the area and to elevate our way of life. There are a lot of things that have been closed down and taken away that just have never come back during the time that I've been there. And this looks like a nice upswing, and it's part of the American dream. You know, everyone wants to expand and move up and move on. And I think that this is a way for us to start on a good footing in the neighborhood, to just grow, to grow. It's a good thing. It's a very good thing for the neighborhood. I think so.
Thank you, ma'am. Are there any questions of this individual by the board? Thank you. If you would, please send in the next person.
I will. Thank you. Have a great evening, everyone.
I want to thank the board again for your patience in this Zoom scenario. This would ordinarily be much different and people just come up and speak. Come on, sit down, please, sir. Right there.
Right here?
Yes, sir. If you would look at the camera, state your name and your address and give your comment.
My name is Michael Murray. I live on 122 Duke Avenue. It's actually the street that the A1 store is on. I just feel like there's nothing in our community now as far as shopping. There's no grocery stores, and A1 gives you a little bit of a choice of something. But if they're going to build what they're talking about, that'll make it so much better. More choices, and the people there are nice, and I think it'd be a good thing. And I really hope that they can get this done, because like I said, the grocery stores closed down. There's, you know, you'll be able to go get a meal if you want it, and the people are nice. And I just think it'll strengthen our community a little bit more than what it is now.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Would you send in the next person, please?
Sure, thanks.
Come in. If you would have a seat right there. Right
Okay,
there.
wait a minute.
Okay.
I'm hard of hearing.
Okay.
I need to see your mouth.
Okay.
To understand what you're saying. I need to sit a little closer to you.
Have a
Right here?
Right there.
Okay, right here, okay. I read lips.
I understand. Perfect. If you would look into the camera that's right there on the table.
Look
and just
into-
give me a statement.
So you take this off?
That's fine. That's
Okay.
fine. Just give your statement, look at the camera on the table, right there. If you would, could you speak about the community march?
Now see, I don't know what you're saying.
Give your name and address
Okay,
and speak about the community march.
okay. My name is Greg Miller. I stay at 607 Duke Avenue. The store over there is nice. Number one, that store been there since I was born. I'm 61 years old, that I know. And if it's possible, let us get a new store, have a new store. It better benefit our community over there, as well as they done did the streets and everything, makes it look better. And the people who own it, they're good people. They're not bad people. They'll help anybody. And please, if it's possible, please let us get us a new store, please.
Thank you, sir.
Very much.
Send in the next
I
person.
thank y'all for what y'all doing.
Not a problem.
For real, because we need it bad.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I think we may have one or two more. They're on their way in. How you doing? If
How you
would,
doing, sir?
sit down right there and look into the camera on the table. If you would give your name and address and give your comments about the Community Mart application.
My name is Charles Thomas. My address is 4008 Lamar Street. Now I'm looking at this community store to be built. It's a nice location for it since our neighborhood is really in a bad shape. I think it'd be nice for us to have somewhere we can go and eat, and make the community better looking than what it is. I've been living there for a while, and since Rick and Kunal became owners of that store, it's been very nice that I could walk out my house or my grandkids get the chance to come over there to that store. It's very lovely that we got somebody in the neighborhood like that that's very protected and a good customer for us. And it's not no stores anywhere open around there that's or more respectful than Rick's store right now. So we enjoy that time that we be over there with them. I like to go over there. I can send my kids across that street every day now, or my grandkids. And it's very nice to know that they always watching out for them. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Will you send in the next person?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. If you would please sit down right there, sir.
Yes, sir.
And look into the camera, and if you would give your comments about the community mart, please state your name and address.
My name is Benjamin Jackson. My address is 813 Dartmouth, Dartmouth Avenue, Columbia, South Carolina. I'm here to support for the new store because definitely we need it. There is no greater place it can be but where Mr. Ricky's store is. I'm stand fully all the help I can give him to get it succeed. We need this store. We definitely need it. We have nothing out there but his store at the moment. And for him to upgrade it, I'm 100% on his side. Now, if it's anything further I can do, I would gladly be appreciated to do it.
Thank you very much for your comment, sir. Is there anyone else left outside?
I believe there's one more.
If you would send him or her in, please.
I believe. Yes, sir.
Is that everyone?
Yeah, that's
okay. All right. That is everyone. If you hold on, I will make a quick change and we will resume.
Jean, I also have letters, and I know there's at least one or two callers on the line.
So that concludes the group of individuals that were here to speak in favor of the application. I will return it over to the chair to continue proceeding with this portion of the meeting.
Thank you, Ernest. Thank you for doing that. That was certainly impressive. Okay, Rachel, let's hear from some more of the public, please.
All right, I'm going to start with the letters just because I think some of the people on the phone sent letters too. I sent you all Kathleen McDaniel's letter yesterday, and then these are ones we've gotten since then. And I apologize, my voice is fading in and out. I will do my best. This is from Walters Residential Care. Dear Ms. Bailey, I'm writing in reference to the A1 Food Store request for a zoning exception to build a new convenience store at 4101 Monticello Road. I am the owner of Walters Residential Care, located at 821 through 823 Duke Avenue, which is within 100 feet of the A1 property. Our business is to provide care and shelter for up to 38 at-risk adults who, without our services, would probably be homeless. We are the housing of last resort for seniors and for others with mental health issues, some of whom have a history of alcohol and drug abuse. While we are happy that the long neglected and derelict building occupied by the A1 Food Store may be replaced with a newer, more modern store, we oppose the granting of a special exception for the proposed convenience store because it includes the sale of alcohol. Before 2015, our residents had easy access to alcohol at A1, which was very dangerous for our residents with a history of alcohol abuse. Since the A1 lost its license in 2015, caring for our residents has become a great deal less complicated since there's no longer easy, as in a 3-minute walk from our facility, access to alcohol. We know that permitting a convenience store, including the sale of alcohol on the adjacent property, would have a negative impact on our residents. We know this because we've seen the positive impact that ending that sale at that location had on our residents. As the neighbor that would be directly affected by this project, I would have thought that the people wanting to redo this convenience store would have reached out to me to discuss their plans, but they have not done so. If you plan to grant an exception to the zoning ordinance to allow for the construction of a new convenience store, we would ask that you exclude the sale of alcohol as part of your approval process. Thank you for your consideration, Dolores Johnson. The next letter is from Lyman Munson. Dear Ms. Bailey, I'm writing to express my opposition to the granting of a special exception to allow for construction of a new convenience store at the corner of Monticello Road and Duke Avenue. As a longtime resident of 4015 Lamar Street, I've experienced the negative effect that A1 Food Store business model has on homeowners of adjoining properties. The board is considering the information provided to it today. Our perspective as property owners has a much longer view. In 2015, I and other neighbors reached a point that the activity at the A1 had become completely unacceptable. The general degrading of our quality of life, including alcohol being consumed on adjoining properties, panhandling along the street and on adjoining properties, public urination, prostitution, led us to oppose the renewal of an ABC off-premises license for A1. Our protest was heard by an administrative law judge who weighed the evidence presented by the neighbors, by City of Columbia Police Department, by the owner of an adjacent home for at-risk adults, and by an adjacent daycare center operator, and came to the conclusion that the A1 location was not suitable for the sale of off-premise alcohol. In the 5 years since the A1 lost its alcohol license, our quality of life has dramatically improved. Gone are the large crowds of people congregating for whatever purpose, the circling of the block by literally dozens of cars per hour, and the consumption of alcohol on adjacent properties. Whether it be the post office across Duke Avenue from the A1 walking in the street or in my front yard has been eliminated. Life in our neighborhood has been more peaceful and our sense of community is building. We are excited about the redevelopment of Hyatt Park, the opening of the springs, which will create a waterway through the park, the construction of a band shell to promote community activities, a walking trail to encourage healthy exercise, or a future to bring neighbors together in a positive way. Neighbors have worked with the City of Columbia Parks and Rec Department to develop a community garden on property near the A1. We've received a grant from Richland County for the development of a pollinator garden, and most recently, we finalized plans to start weekly farmers market to provide fresh, nutritious food for neighbors whose lack of transportation is an impediment to purchasing fresh, nutritious food. The applicant explains that a convenience store has no direct adverse effect on public safety. He contends that loitering will be controlled by a written plan and enforced by the owner. The reason that we oppose the renewal of the 2015 ABC license was for exactly that adverse reason. For this applicant to suggest that he would control loitering speaks only to the loitering on his property, that he has nothing to do with the consumption of alcohol on adjacent properties, whether they be the post office facility or my personal property. The owner of the A1 5 years ago took no responsibility for its customers' activities, and we see nothing in the application that accepts any responsibility for the outcome if alcohol were to be sold at the A1 location again. My understanding is that your approval would not ensure that an ABC off-premises license would be granted, but your exclusion of alcohol sales of the property as part of your exception process would give us the peace and quiet that we have come to enjoy in the last 5 years, and we do not wish to go back to the previous time. Lyman Munson. So, and then I have several letters, statements of support that are identical, but I will read the statement of support, and then I will let you know the names of the people who submitted them, since the statements are all identical. They're just signed by different individuals.
Very good.
So the first one is Cynthia Lloyd, and it lists her address, and then she's interested in supporting the expansion of the A1 store, which would allow this writer and others to avail themselves of additional food items in a stop and go fashion. This area is considered a food desert and is in need of a place to secure food items, coffee, a sandwich, salad, or a quick snack en route to work, on a lunch hour, or on the way home. I'm aware of the state-of-the-art design, which would enhance this area and allow prepared food for persons in and around the area who may need to walk to the site. The improved design with additional lighting and landscaping will improve the area and have a substantially positive impact on the surrounding area. This new enhanced facility may also serve as a catalyst to attract other businesses to the area. I strongly support this new development in my community, this application, and the applicant. I believe approving this request to be in the best interest of the neighborhood. So, and then at the bottom of each statement, it asks, do you visit A1 on a regular basis? And all answered yes. So this first statement was from Cynthia Lloyd. The next was from Rosie Williams. I'm sorry if I mess up anyone's name. I'm trying to read handwriting. Erica Tucker, Maria Davenport, Wilford. I'm really sorry, I can't read this last name. Of Ridgewood Avenue. So Rhoda Hafer, Katha Jenkins, Lorna Tucker, Kathleen Cornish, and Charlotte Cunningham. So, and they all submitted the statements of support. So, and that is all I have that I received prior to the meeting. I will turn it over to Erica if any comments have come in and if any callers are on the line.
At this time, we have no emails, no comments. However, we have one caller.
All right.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Thank you, everyone, for having me and giving me some time to speak. My name is Ty Ziegler. I'm the president of the Hyatt Park Keenan Terrace Neighborhood Association. So the A1 convenience store sits right at the entrance to Hyatt Park on Duke Avenue. I want to address in my brief time Mr. Palmer's claim and the applicant's claim that this project has community support. A few years ago, our neighborhood association actually successfully opposed the renewal of the alcohol license for that store. That was before Mr. Palmer was the owner. The reason we opposed the alcohol license, though, was because of the crime that was there at the time. You should have in your packets that was sent through our attorney, Kathleen McDaniel, earlier, some statistics on the crime that was there previously, as was found in the ALC and Court of Appeals cases that was, the result of this situation. So the crime was there when the alcohol was sold, and now it's gone. So the store was sold to a new owner, the preceding owner before Mr. Palmer, and that owner came to our neighbor association about 2 years ago and asked us if, he told us he wanted to renovate the store similarly to what Mr. Palmer is doing now, and include alcohol sales. We held a vote, our neighbors association held a vote on whether to oppose or approve of what he was doing, and the neighbors association voted unanimously, and I want to emphasize absolutely unanimously, to oppose what he was doing, even if that meant that the property would not be improved upon. So that was just 2 years ago. Now Mr. Palmer wants to do the exact same thing. So when we talk about community support, it's actually clear there's no community support for a convenience store at that property that sells alcohol, which appears to be the entire point of this new building he wants to build, and the reason he's asking for a special exception. Now, we've not had a neighborhood association meeting since we were heard of these plans and time to take a vote on this issue again, but I don't see any reason from what I've heard from our neighborhood association members that vote would change at this time. So you heard from some of my neighbors earlier who spoke in support of a store, but what they were speaking about was, and they were speaking in support of a store that helps replace a grocery store in the Boston area. But if you look at the renderings of the proposed store Mr. Palmer provided, it's clear he's just seeking to sell the same snack food he already sells and devote a substantial portion of this convenience store to alcohol sales. That doesn't replace a grocery store. And I'm sure you noticed, but of those who spoke in favor of the special exception earlier, none of them spoke about the crime problems that the store caused us previously. You know, some of those neighbors actually mentioned how there's no crime at that location anymore, but the reason for that is the location is no longer allowed to sell alcohol. So, you know, in a similar way, Mr. Palmer got a lot of his customers to sign that letter saying they would like to see a new building and expanded food options, but that doesn't appear what he's actually doing here. You know, look, we support Mr. Palmer if he wants to expand the store, put food in, have a restaurant style situation. All that's great. We really do support that. We really support the A1 being a nicer store. What we don't support is Mr. Palmer building a giant convenience store at the entrance of our neighborhood that sells alcohol at a location that was frankly a nuisance for years until the sale of beer and wine stopped. So anyway, I just want to say, you know, Mr. Palmer and his lawyer, I believe, have asserted that alcohol sales are not an issue here, but it is. If you look at the plans for the site, it's clear that the primary function for this special exception is to restart selling beer and wine in a very large convenience store. And in terms of community support, I know you've heard from some people who supported it, but what they say they support is expanded food options and, you know, something to help us replace a lost grocery store. Actually, the overwhelming majority of our community is opposed to the expansion or replacement of a very large convenience store that sells beer and wine, and that is a nuisance to our community. That's all I got, guys. I'm happy to answer any of your questions, though.
Thank you for your call.
Thank you.
Okay, so Rachel, does that conclude the public input?
I think there might be one more caller.
Okay.
Rachel, I have one more. I'll let them speak now.
Okay.
Good evening. Members of the Board of Zoning Appeals. This is Kathleen McDaniel. I'm the attorney representing Lyman Munson and the Hyatt Park Keenan Terrace neighborhood. I also have Lyman Munson here with me, and with your permission, once I finish speaking, I'll pass the phone to him, and he can follow up and add more perspective to the letter that he's previously sent in. Appreciate Mr. Ziegler's comments as the president of the neighborhood. The Hyatt Park Keenan Terrace neighborhood very much opposes the grant of this special exception application. And the basis for our opposition is actually statistics. We have worked with the Columbia Police Department over the course of years to try to determine what effect the sale of alcohol at this location has on the neighborhood. And so in the letter that I sent to you all, You can see starting in 2011 up until 2018, we have the data received from Captain White, who used to be the commander over the North region for the Columbia Police Department. We have the calls for service for each year, and we have the total reported crimes for each year. And what you can see is when alcohol was being sold at this location, we had a tremendous amount of calls for service, higher than any other convenience store in the surrounding area, and a tremendous amount of reported crimes. Alcohol stopped being sold at this location on February 20th, 2015. So in early 2015. And what you can see is that the calls for service dropped from 351 in 2012 to 40 in 2016. That is, you know, just almost a tenth of what it had been. So almost 90% of the calls for service decreased after alcohol stopped being sold at this location. You see the same trend for crime. We go from a high of reported crimes in 2013 of 53 reported crimes to in 2017 only 2. 2 reported crimes for the whole year when alcohol was no longer sold. What I was able to obtain today is some additional information for 2019 and 2020. And I'll give you that data now. So and it's interesting. And if you'll remember, the applicant says that they started working at the store about 2 years ago. So in 2011, let's just, say in 2011, we had 304 calls for service. 2015, went down significantly. Now in 2019, it went back up to 151 calls for service under the management of the current applicant. And in 2020, up from January 1 until November 23rd, there have been 99 calls for service to the Columbia Police Department for this specific location. So what we have seen is when you have alcohol being sold, you have lots of calls for service. When there's no alcohol being sold, the calls for service decrease, except for in the last 2 years under the current management, they have gone back up again. Although they are still half of what, less than half of what they were previously. So you see the same trend for reported crimes. So in 2011, we've got 42 reported crimes. 2013, 53. I did get the 2015 number, so that I did not have previously. So in 2015, when alcohol sales stopped on February 20th, 2015, total reported crimes for that year dropped precipitously to 9. There were only 9 total reported crimes, down from a high of 53 just the 2 years previous. And again, in 2016, we had 3 reported crimes. I had 2016. For 2018, that was a piece of data that we did not have. The reported crimes were only 8, so still low. But in 2019, when it appears that the current applicants came back on the scene, we had 12. So there's an upward, that went up. And then 2020, up until November 23rd, there have been 4 reported crimes. So, it's hard to, if the difference in criminal activity at this location had changed just a little bit after alcohol stopped being sold, I think it would be harder to make this argument. However, the criminal activity dropped off precipitously. 90% of the criminal activity at this location stopped after alcohol stopped being sold. What that tells us is that there's something about this location that makes it unsuitable for the sale of alcohol. So that's the data that tells us that the location is unsuitable for the sale of alcohol. Not only do we have the data showing that, but we've also had a determination from the administrative law court that this location is not suitable for the sale of alcohol. That's very different than if they had never sold alcohol at all. This is a determination that alcohol should not be sold at this location. That determination was affirmed by the Court of Appeals in 2017. And, since then, things have been quiet. I think there has been some discussion of whether this is even within, the realm of what you all consider as members of the Board of Zoning Appeals. And I would argue to you affirmatively that yes, indeed it is. You are charged in looking at, does this application meet the standard conditions for a special exception? The critical ones of those are number 4, 7, and 8. So under number 4, the question is, would the special exception have a substantial adverse impact on public safety or create nuisance conditions detrimental to the public interest, or conditions likely to result in increased law enforcement response? Because of the strong correlation between calls for service and crime and the sale of alcohol, I think we can see that, once again, selling alcohol at this location is likely to lead to an increased necessity of law enforcement response. In addition, the number 7, the criteria standard condition number 7, is the proposed special exception appropriate for its location and compatible with permitted uses adjacent to and in the vicinity of the property? You heard the letter from Ms. Dolores Johnson talking about the very sensitive use that is made of her property less than 100 feet away. She treats and houses folks, in a very sensitive time of their lives. They have alcohol or drug problems, and she, has expressed the concern with the history to support her concern that the sale of alcohol is going to negatively impact her residents.
Okay, well, thank you, Ms. McDaniel. We need to wrap this up soon. We've given you a lot of leeway here. I think your testimony is pertinent and important, but we'll give you just another few seconds if you'd like, but please wrap it up soon.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I certainly do appreciate that. I just want to make it clear that I've been going through all this detail because of how important this is to the neighborhood. They have worked so hard to improve this area. And when you consider this application, you have to consider every part of the application and what every part of the effects that every part of this application will have on the neighborhood, including the proposed sale of alcohol. So I did also want to make the point, if I could just make one further point.
Okay.
I believe the claim that these applicants have had no involvement with this store previous to their current operation is disingenuous. They both were involved with the store at the time that this high crime and alcohol sales were reported. And Mr. Munson can talk to that more specifically. I did just want to point that out, that these are not new people to the store. This is their second go around at this store. They had previously managed it, gone to other stores, and now they've come back. So we don't have any reason to believe that their management style will be any different.
Okay.
And I'll pass the phone to Mr. Munson now.
Okay, quickly, Mr. Munson.
Thank you, and I appreciate it. I see what time it is, and it's been going on for some period of time. We met with the applicant Mr. Ziegler and I'm the vice president of the neighborhood association. I happen to live across the street from the A1, so I have a long history with it that I described in my letter. And what we said, and what I said to the applicant is, I said, just say you won't sell alcohol here. And he said, well, alcohol is not really a very profitable item for us, but, you know, our customers, you know, require it. And they want to come and buy other things, and they want to be able to buy beer also, buy a six-pack. And then I looked at all 200 letters of support that they had gotten signed on Saturday and Sunday over the weekend
Rachel.
before this meeting.
Rachel, I take objection to Mr. Munson testifying as to the statement of my client. That is not appropriate. He can speak as to what he wants to say, but to say that my client says something about the sale of beer and wine is not appropriate, and I would object to that. I know we're not in a legal proceeding, but I think that is improper, both in subject matter and in course, and so I want to put that on the record.
Okay, and you'll get your chance here in a minute too for rebuttal, Mr. Kumar. You'll have your chance, but noted. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Munson, you have a minute. We'll give you a good minute, and then we're going to wrap up the testimony.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is my life. I live across the street, and I appreciate the last minute that I'm going to have to talk about this. I'll tell you what, the building says Beer Cave on the outside of it, and that's what got us all excited. We went to the applicant and we said, just tell us it's not going to be a beer cave, that you are actually going to serve food. You're actually going to have some food that people could purchase besides cigarettes, chips, candy, all the stuff that the One Love business model has. And that's what these guys want to do. We want it to be good for the community. We're growing. Things are going the right way. We don't want to go back to 330 calls for service, all about alcohol. And all I asked them was just tell us you won't do that, and tell the Board of Zoning Adjustment that you'll agree that the property will not be used for the sale of alcohol, and we'll be all in support of this. No, I can't do that, Mr. Munson. That's why we're here. That's why we're banging this drum about alcohol. It's a bad deal for the people who are actually directly affected by this property, the ones who live adjoining it, not people that live a half a mile away or a mile away or Lexington or wherever these people live that wrote these letters of support. So I'm just saying, if you want to have a new A1, that's fine with us. It just can't have alcohol. It's a bad location. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your call.
Let me just clarify one point that Mr. Munson made. This is Kathleen McDaniel again. The conversation that Mr. Munson was talking about that we had with the applicants, that was yesterday. They made no attempt to reach out to the community before that. And the only reason that they did is because we called them before DDRC to try to talk to them. So they have not contacted or worked with the neighborhood in any way. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Okay. Rachel, do we have any more public input? Anyone on the line? Any more emails?
Erica, was there anybody else?
No callers, no emails.
All right.
Nothing.
Good. We've had a lot of input, so I think we know where everyone stands. Okay, we'd like to give the applicant 5 minutes or so for rebuttal. Turn it over to Mr. Cromartie and Mr. Fuller.
Mr.
Attorney
Dickens,
Fuller, I'll let you start, and then I'll give a portion in the end.
can you hear me still, Mr. Dickens?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. We've heard a lot from people who live in the vicinity. We expected we would. We spent some time trying to address that. I would submit to you, Mr. Chairman, and members of this board, that argument can be made if it's relevant to the matter before the person to whom it's being made, which is not the Board of Zoning Appeals. There is nothing you can do today that will do anything about the ability to sell alcohol on this property. If they are objecting to the sale of spirits, that would come at the time somebody applied for a license or a permit to do that. That is not here. This is a real property consideration at this point, and the owner of the property has been asked to voluntarily impose a restriction on the property that would be a condition that would be terribly influential with respect to diminution of value. There is nothing about this application that assures that it's going back to what it used to be some 10 years ago. It is an application for the ability to renovate, restyle, repurpose the property for a going forward purpose. And that is what Mr. Palmer is intending to do and wants to do here. If there is an ability to sell alcohol from this premise, it will come after an application, a hearing, and a decision that would be made. The last decision that spoke to this matter was in 2017. That does not affect or is not affecting this outcome today. We submit this is an entirely present application for the purpose that has been made. Mr. Cromartie may have additional comments.
Thank you, Attorney Fuller. I would like to address some of the concerns that were raised in a different manner, different from the preceding years and preceding ownership. This board has an opportunity to improve the property, to mitigate and allay concerns regarding security, regarding lighting, because this applicant has voluntarily and exceedingly complied with the Good Neighbor Plan. So as we look to some of the concerns raised by the community or those that say they speak for the community, we have the opportunity to improve the lighting, improve security in terms of cameras, improve landscaping, to provide an all-around, much improved, better property at that site, something that is much better to look at, visit, and better serve the community. I would also submit to you that with more than 200 plus individuals who signed the petition, coupled with probably about 30 letters of support, combined with individuals in the midst of a pandemic who come forward to my office to speak on behalf of this community, Martin, express their need for such, that is unanimous community support in 3 tiers of support, unlike any I've seen when serving on the board. And so I think that speaks volumes to the nature of the relationship that this owner and this ownership has or management has with the community, and should be looked to very strongly by the members of the Board of Zoning Appeals. I would echo the sentiments of Attorney Fuller, and I thank you for your time and your patience with respect to this application today.
Thank you, Mr. Cromartie. Thank you very much. Okay, well, that is going to wrap up the rebuttal. So at this point, I'd like to move into board discussion, and I would like to open it up to the members of the board, and let's hear what you think.
My neighborhood has been contesting the liquor licenses in 5 Points because, as we may or may not agree, there have been some real issues there with the administrative law judge when the liquor licenses come up. That is, as I understand it, the appropriate venue to do that. That I believe that here we've got a good neighbor plan, and it does sound like an enhanced good neighbor plan. And that, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that if they don't adhere to the good neighbor plan, isn't that a zoning violation that Rachel will send her zoning inspectors in to remedy? It seems to me that there are appropriate remedies if there are problems that are available to them here. And I don't believe that it's within our purview to ban the sale, the issuance of a liquor license, or to in any way say they can't sell liquor there. The exterior certainly looks like a huge improvement. And, you know, I think that we're supposed to say, basically, what does it look like from the street? What's the impact on the community from the use? And I suppose to the extent they're selling alcohol there, then there would be an impact on the community from the use. But I believe that the proper purview for that is the liquor licensing authorities.
Okay, thank you. Other members of the board, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not here to like say someone can or cannot sell alcohol. That's definitely not within the way I understand it, within our purview in this situation. I mean, they're applying for a convenience store special exception. I just, I just was thinking if there is, basically, if it's just a convenience store and they're definitely, and they got to get their license to sell alcohol, we're not the ones that issue that license or take it away. So I just wanted the clarification on that. And I think I got that answered.
Yeah, and Gene, I mean, from a strictly, it's, as Mr. Fuller pointed out, it's a convenience store now and without a liquor license or an alcohol license. And the applicant is going to take down a building that is outdated, darkly lit, non-landscaped, and put in a attractive building that is landscaped, lit well with security cameras. So, and that's from a zoning perspective, that is a fantastic thing. And so I, lean towards that being a benefit to the community, and then allowing the authorities over the sale of alcohol to make the right decision.
I would agree with all of those comments. I certainly have a lot of empathy for the neighborhood opposition, and I think a lot of facts were shared that are clear evidence of that concern. But for me, this is a question of whether or not a property owner can make improvements to their property. And I don't see how we as a board really can deny that, given the application that's in front of us.
I agree. There was a lot of well-presented information, but I tend to be to agree with my colleagues. It's definitely an upgrade. It's definitely an upgrade, and I would be in support.
Yeah, did what everyone else said.
Okay. All right. Well, very good. Well, sounds like we're finished. So I'd like to ask for a motion then regarding this matter.
I make a motion that we approve the special exception, subject to staff comments in this matter.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
All right, so, and I won't keep y'all much longer. So we just have a couple matters under other business. So we have our elections. I thought that electionbuddy.com was kind of cool. So I did the ballot through that and sent it to you all. It looks like the majority of you had an opportunity to vote. After tallying, it looks like the winners of the election were Mr. Dinkins for chair and Mr. Gregory for vice chair. We can do just a motion of both together, or we can do them separately, just to get those on the books. Just to have a motion and an approval to finalize those results.
I move that we approve the
Yeah.
results of the election for chair and vice chair. I'm going to make it in one motion, and I believe I can do that unless someone wants to separate it. Move to ratify the results of the election. How's that? Certify the results of the election.
So that's final. Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay, motion passes.
All right. and did
Congratulations.
anyone- Yes, congratulations. Did anyone have any questions about the 2021 calendar? So we have it, we're not sure when we're gonna start meeting in person again. So we went ahead and just put on the calendar that they're gonna be conducted virtually until we know more. So we will keep seeing each other on Zoom each month. But if no questions, if you all can do just an approval of the 2021 calendar, we can send it out and get it published on the website.
I move to make a motion that we approve the 2021 calendar.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay, motion passed.
All right, and before you all go, this is George's last meeting, so very
Thanks,
sad.
y'all. I enjoyed working with everybody.
Thank you, George. We
Thank you,
enjoyed
George.
your time. You've
Absolutely.
brought a lot of value to this board over the past few years, and we really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I've enjoyed it.
So we will
George,
miss you.
Good luck in
Thanks, man.
Charlotte. Good luck in Charlotte.
Thank you. Thank
Good.
you.
Good luck. Good luck.
Thanks.
But with that, I hope
George,
everyone.
hey, I got a question. George, what are you going to be doing in Charlotte? Are you going to still be with Boudreaux, or what are you doing again?
Yeah, I will be working at Clemson as a professor and also continuing with Boudreaux. So yes. Yes to both.
Go Tigers.
Yeah.
They'll speak very slowly, isn't that?
Oh.
And with that, I'd like to move that we adjourn.
All right. Very good.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Anyone opposed? No. Okay, thank you very much.
You guys enjoy
All
the
right,
rest of the evening.
everybody have a good holiday season.
Happy holidays. Yeah. Take care,
Stay
everybody.
safe.
Everybody, absolutely.